And now all Black and brown immigrants are being deemed dangerous. The agency grew fast, and under Trump's first term, it exploded. ICE became more aggressive, more public about it. Agents are kicking down doors, detaining people in front of their children, throwing them into unmarked vehicles. They go after anybody they feel like targeting, and you don't need to be undocumented these days. You just need to look like you don't belong. They've arrested US citizens, and in multiple cases, these people were detained for weeks, despite having birth certificates and IDs, because ICE refused to admit they got it wrong. They don't care. The system is not built to care. MAGA keeps acting like they just taking people at the borders. No. ICE is going into schools. They've been walking into churches. They're showing up at hospitals and courthouses, places that used to be considered off limits as protected spaces.
Post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democrats.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. It's been overrun by criminals, and New York and LA. Look at LA. LA, those people weren't from LA. They weren't from California. Most of those people, many of those people, and that's a focus.
And nobody is holding them accountable. At the same time, their budget keeps climbing. What are they spending it on? More detention centers, more agents, more surveillance tech, and more destruction in our communities. The cruelty in the second term of Trump is even more calculated, and cruelty is the point. ICE's power has expanded with no limits, once again. That's how Trump has it designed, and it's happening with bipartisan silence. Democrats have never dismantled it, Republicans have fueled it, and the media doesn't stay on it long enough, and Americans seem to be numb to it. Listen, if you are undocumented, you're in danger. If you are an immigrant, you're in danger. If you are a US citizen who is Black or brown and doesn't fit the profile, you are in danger. Your child, in danger, because they go into the schools, elementary schools, talking to kids, all the things. ICE agents have no limits. And ICE isn't broken. It's functioning exactly the way it's meant to. And we need to stop pretending that this is anything but violent, state-backed oppression. ICE is a weapon of mass immigrant eradication. It's state-sponsored attack on Black and brown people. Even if you were born here and your family goes back decades, you really should stop ignoring it. It's not fear-mongering. It's the truth.
Black people, good morning. ICE is detaining African Americans in Chicago. I got on here a few months ago and I told Black people we need to stay out of them ICE protests. I maintain that because we're not operating under the normal rule of law. ICE is being used in a way that it has not been used before. And you standing out of them protests is you not making yourself an easy target for whatever is going on. They're detaining people, trying to find the immigrants to then take them away, but they're taking us in the process, and they're also releasing us. We're getting news reports of people getting detained and being released. I don't know what comes after that. You'll probably hear reports of people being detained. They might have a warrant or something like that, and they're probably going to end up being transferred from a detention facility probably to a jail. Maybe, I don't know. But don't be shocked if you hear some stuff like that. Point is, don't make yourself an easy target. I know it can happen anywhere, anytime, for any reason. But the point is, don't make yourself an easy target. You got a job, go to work. You got time off, take your time off, go to a different city. If you can, obviously. Stay vigilant.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Misuba. Today guys, we need to talk about something very serious. ICE, the US Immigration and Custom Enforcement, is not just detaining immigrants anymore. Reports and videos are showing that ICE has started detaining Black Americans, yes, US citizens, and African Americans, just because they look foreign. And that's not an accident. That is what happened when racism meets a broken immigration system. This isn't a mistake. It's part of a bigger pattern. Mass incarceration, racial profiling, police brutality, it's all connected. The same government that turns a blind eye when Black people are killed by police now turns around and locks them up under the excuse of immigration enforcement. And the media, silent, because when Black people suffer, America calls it incidents. not crisis. If ICE can detain a black American citizens today, what makes you think they won't come for someone else tomorrow? This isn't safety, it is surveillance. This isn't law enforcement, it is racial enforcement. It is time to hold ICE accountable. It is time to stop finding systems that dehumanize black and brown people. And it is time for us, the people, to demand for justice that doesn't depend on color of your skin or where you were born. Because freedom means nothing if it is not for everyone. If you find this video important, share it, let people know what's happening because silence is complicity and we refuse to be silent.
All are you even aware of what just went down in Chicago? ICE literally raided an entire apartment complex yesterday. I'm not exaggerating, they zip-tied kids. Children, they showed up in the middle of the night, after midnight, when everybody was asleep. They banged on people's doors, stormed in, ransacked apartments, dragged whole families out into the street, and then they zip-tied every single person, men, woman, kids. And here's the part that's wild. Anybody who had a warrant out didn't even matter what it was for. Immigration or not, they were detained. And if you weren't an immigrant, if you didn't have a warrant, you were lucky enough to be let back into your house. But picture this, full military gear, guns drawn. Wool complex under siege. These folks looked like they were going into war, except it wasn't war. It was people's homes, families, children, American citizens. And listen, this isn't just about immigration. This is about the fact that they showed up in the dead of night, dragged people from their beds, disappeared some, and left the rest traumatized. Tell me what history that sounds like. Tell me what parallels you need. Call it what it is. This is terrorism against our own communities, and it should terrify every single one of us.
Black people, after they done with the Latinos, you next. Huh? Next. We've been on the chopping block. Like, you can tell that we all been living in separate Americas. Separate Americas, because why does everybody keep saying black people, you next? They've been on our heels for 400 plus years. Black people, you next. You know what? Can you imagine being in a relationship with the biggest narcissist in history? The biggest, right? Every time you go to school, he undermines you. When you buy a house, he undermines you. When you get healthcare, he undermines you. God damn, when you can't go to the gym, you can't go to parks, you can't go to the goddamn beach, you can't get healthcare, you can't get childcare, you can't do shit. You can't cook chicken, you can't eat fruit, you can't do nothing. Every angle that you live in life has been targeted. Understand that black people will always fight for Latinos. Our struggle is intertwined. Like, understand this. But we don't gotta worry about being next because we have been their fixation for hundreds of years. We still are. And you know what's the most heartbreaking thing about this whole thing is that Mexican people in black history, American history, have been some of the only people to show up. They were the biggest part of black liberation. And always and forever, I will always give Mexican people that respect. But since then, Latino people have been falling so far into white supremacy that is sick. You have been showing colorist behavior to your own people. You have been showing colorist behavior all in the hopes of having white proximity. All the anti-black jokes that you hear growing up, you're talking about your own people. Just because you say Prieto, Moreno, or Negro, don't make it no different. All those sayings bettering the race, cleaning the blood, washing out the black, This is a part of a Latin culture, and it's sad, and it needs to stop. You want to know what's the first step of liberation? Stop that shit. Stop trying to have proximity to whiteness. You're not them. And if you want to know the results of this, just ask the question of what happened to all the black people in Argentina. There were a lot more. And yeah, you may have a sprinkle of Spaniard, but you ain't that. And I'm sorry to tell you, there's a reason why you have an indigenous or African nose and kinky hair.
ICE is detaining black people in Chicago. Do you understand? We told y'all it was going to start with Hispanic people and immigrants, and they were already going after Haitians, already going after my people. So I've been saying this, but like ICE is now detaining black people in Chicago. They just raided a whole apartment complex. Ain't that crazy? They raided a whole apartment complex. And it didn't matter what you were doing in your apartment. You had people roll up in your house, detain you. And if you had a warrant out, they kept you. That's like, what are you doing in my house in the first place? They're detaining black people in Chicago. So, okay. All right. So what now? When does when do we stop working and start working? You know, like, because I don't understand, like, what do we do now?
Another innocent American woman had the same thing happen to her. As I got to my unit to stick my key in the door, I was grabbed by an officer and I said, "What's going on? What's going on?" He never actually told me. He said I was being detained. Again, this is like the secret police, right? No identification, not telling you what's going on. They take you in, arrest you, ask questions later. Oh, but it gets worse. They arrived in Black Hawk helicopters like Apocalypse Now and used flashbangs. They were terrified. My kids were crying. People were screaming. They looked very distraught, one woman said. "I was out there crying when I see this little girl come around the corner because they were bringing kids down too, had them zip-tied to each other. I kept asking, what is the morality? Where's the humanity?" One of the ICE agents literally laughed at me. He was standing there and he said, "F-U-C-K them kids." Another American witness said they had military-style vans to separate the parents from their children, and they also segregated Latinos from blacks, a different van for each. We now have fascist secret police in America.
I made a video on TikTok that was a reaction to black people saying this is not our fight when this whole ICE thing came around. And it wasn't all of them, it was just like a small portion. And so I made this video saying this is a reaction to what they're talking about, and then I gave my little spiel, and a lot of people got really angry at me. They were telling me that I was racist. They were saying that I needed to apologize to the black community. They were saying that what I was saying wasn't true, that they weren't deporting black people, but they were. I never said black Americans. People got that confused. Anyways, I never cleared it up because I'm like, are you guys not reading what I'm reading? And now, this week, it's been announced that now black Americans are being taken by ICE. And it's like, this is what I was saying all along. I was saying, like, they're going to start with the Latino community. They're eventually going to move to the other minorities. They were already taking Asian people. They were already taking other black people. Like, it was only a matter of time until they started taking black Americans. Like I told you guys.
So if ICE is detaining black people now in Chicago, where are they sending us? Where are we going? Don't threaten me with a good time. Send me to Turks and Caicos.
Hey y'all, so I just want to talk about the fact that none of the major news outlets are covering these ICE raids in Chicago. And these raids took place in a building that had black people and Venezuelans. They apparently were looking for the Venezuelans. They came in with helicopters. They came in with tear gas. They came in knocking down doors, basically pulling these people out of their houses at 10 o'clock at night. There's an elderly woman who said she was taken out her nightgown at 10 o'clock at night, asked if she had any warrants, and then was not released till 3 a.m. while she was in her nightgown and handcuffed. They were handcuffing black children, separating them from their parents, handcuffing the kids off to one side, parents on another side. They told people, if you have warrants, you will not be getting released. And they claimed they were there looking for Venezuelans. They done tore these people's places up. Look, you can see this man's apartment's all tore up. Look at these hallways. Just went through, caused a complete and utter havoc. And all of that because you claim you're looking for Venezuelans in a building. So it requires all of that. I don't even think y'all think about not even just the psychological trauma this is going to cause on these children who are not going to, already probably don't trust the police and really aren't going to trust them now. The psychological effect on the parents, scared. The cost that we're all paying for this stupid shit. Let's add that to it. And now people have been put in jail. And granted, yes, if you have a warrant, okay, but some people don't know sometimes they have warrants. In addition, you don't get to just pick me up while you're looking for illegals, as you call them, because on stolen land, who's illegal? But using that as an opportunity to arrest people. And you knew you were doing this in a predominantly black area. So while if they're doing this in Chicago, what's next? Where's next? Where are they going next? And the fact that none of these major news outlets are carrying it ought to tell you everything you need to know. The news does not care. The news is basically on payroll. We already know about how Sinclair Media and the other media company, we found this out with the Jimmy Kimmel thing, how they basically control what is said on the media and have all of their stations regurgitating the same bullshit. We also saw when we're going back now that Trump has admitted he knew about Project 2025, and we can see all the news outlets, CNN, Fox, all these major outlets that basically said Kamala was lying when she said Trump was going to put Project 2025 in place. They said Tim Walz was lying. These news outlets literally said these people were lying for it now to be, they weren't lying. So we don't trust you, media. And now you don't show this. This just continues to prove that y'all ain't shit, and this is why y'all want TikTok to go away, because we're getting our news source from real people who are really giving real information, and not you people that are company bought and sold and won't share real information because they know if we're uneducated and we don't know what's going on, they can continue to do shit to us. Okay, this is why they're not telling us, because they know if more people knew about it, they'd be saying, what the hell is going on? We didn't think, especially even the MAGAs, that are now saying, well, we thought he just was going for illegals. We didn't think they were going to be messing with citizens. Well, they are. So what y'all going to do? What now? What now? Elections have consequences, and innocent people, innocent children are being affected by your fucked up ass decisions. I hope none of y'all ever fucking sleep at night.
Black Americans and Latinos, I've been saying for months that we need to come together and unite for something greater to come. And I wasn't speaking on the ICE protest. I was speaking on what is now currently happening. A perfect example is the apartment complex that was raided on October 1st in Chicago. That apartment complex is predominantly Black Americans. And ICE didn't just raid the apartments where they believed that in Nicaragua, the Venezuelan gang people lived. They raided every single apartment. And what makes things worse is that people were being dragged out of their homes, regardless how they were dressed, including naked. And they didn't just limit this to adults. This was children too. Side note, apartments were being raided even if there was no warrants for anybody living in that apartment. But here's where things get worse. A video is currently circulating the internet where it shows that a Black American is being detained by ICE. And one of the Black Americans that's watching the whole thing is yelling, "You're supposed to be doing this to Mexicans, not us." But listen for yourself. Let's listen one more time, but in slow motion. The amount of arrogance to believe that this is just supposed to be a Mexican thing. And also, I think you mean Latinos because not everybody's a Mexican. But to continue, a lot of people have come onto TikTok making videos joking about if Black Americans are being detained, where are they going to get sent to? And that shows me that you guys are not aware of what's currently happening. Do you know that there's agencies that make money off the prison system? For every prisoner and every day that prisoner spent there, there's agencies out there that make money. And this year, ICE began making money for every detainee that they hold per day. A lot of these Latinos that are being arrested and held in detention centers are not being deported. They're being held and have been in those detention centers for months. Some even have stated a year, if not longer. This was never about deportations. This has always been about money. And history has proven time and time again, when Black Americans come together with Latinos, we get things done. So why is 2025 any different? Hopefully, this was an eye opener for a lot of people who didn't believe that it would happen to them or that they were exempt because of their quote unquote political views, beliefs, or skin color.
Yo, ICE just stormed a Chicago apartment building like it was a freaking war zone. Kicking down doors, tossing flashbangs, dragging kids straight out of bed. I'm not kidding. Neighbors said it looked like a military invasion. One dude even said he lived on bases his whole entire life and he never saw anything like this before. People were cuffed outside for hours. And get this, it wasn't just undocumented folks. U.S. citizens got pulled out too. This is all part of a Operation Midway Blitz. DHS says they've arrested more than 800 people in Chicago since September 8th. And at this building alone, 37 were taken, mostly were Venezuelans, Mexicans, Nigerians, Colombians. They claim a couple were gang members. Some had prior charges, but everyone in that building got treated like an animal. 4 U.S.-born kids ended up detained. Families separated, apartments wrecked, windows busted, belongings everywhere. People and children, kids butt naked, zip-tied, terrified and screaming. Illinois Governor Pritzker blasted the raids, saying federal agents are violating rights and terrorizing families instead of focusing on violent criminals. DHS, though, they're defending this, saying that they won't let gangs thrive in American neighborhoods. But when you see babies zip-tied and citizens handcuffed, you gotta ask, was this about stopping crime or scaring an entire community?
Many black immigrants came from places like Haiti, Nigeria, and Jamaica, Ghana, Ethiopia, building lives here, paying taxes, raising families, yet ICE treats them like criminals for existing. The left has been saying this for years. You can't just fight for immigrant justice without fighting for racial justice. You can't just say black matters and then stay quiet when ICE lock up black immigrants or Americans because of their skin color or accents. Guys, let's stay critical. If today is your first time of coming across my videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help the channel out.